This lesson is on solving multi-step inequalities. These inequalities, in order to be solved, involve both using properties of addition and subtraction, as well as multiplication and division. Here I have a general scheme of an inequality. You have ax plus b on the left, just something involving x and a constant, and x can have a multiple. The inequality, which can be greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. It could even be equal to or unequal to. Also, cx plus d. Just like over here, except different numbers, it's just something times x and a constant. So to solve this, the goal that you would want to achieve is having x's on one side and some constant on the other side. And then you have an inequality in the middle. And this can be done a few ways. I could start by subtracting cx from both sides. That way all of the x's will be on the left. And then I could subtract b from both sides. That way the constants will be on the right. And then I would have that a minus c x, whatever the inequality is, d minus b. But what that really is, a minus c is some number, let's say q times x, inequality, and then another letter, let's say r. So to solve this, you divide both sides by q, and you might have to flip the sign if q is negative. And then you would get x has some relationship with r over q. The most important step, though, is to just isolate x on one side and the constants on the other side. Here I have another sort of example, but I have some number being multiplied by a quantity involving x and some constant. The best thing to do in this case is to distribute the a. So you would get this expression on the left is a times bx plus a times c. And a times b is just going to be some constant. A times c is just going to be some constant. So you have some number times x plus some number has a relationship with dx plus e. Once you're here, you have a very similar step as in the previous slide. Here you have some number being multiplied by x, the constant, and again a number being multiplied by x, and the constant. You want to isolate x on one side, the inequality, and the constant on the other side. So first I've subtracted dx from both sides to cancel here on the right and give me just x's on the left and some constants. Now I have to move the constants to the right side, so I'm going to subtract a times c. So here I've subtracted a times c from both sides, and now I got rid of the x on the right, so I have x on the left. I got rid of the constant on the left, so I have constant on the right. So I have some number times x is some number. As I showed previously, the next step would be to divide by whatever the multiple of x is, in this case ab minus d. Keep in mind, though, that if this ad or ab minus d was negative, the sign here would have to be flipped, because you'd have to multiply by a negative 1 in order to divide, or divide by negative 1 in order to multiply. You simply cannot forget that when there is a negative and you multiply or divide, you have to flip the sign. This lesson involved using a lot of numbers, or letters to represent numbers, rather. So please go ahead and look at the examples and get a good idea of how to use what I've shown you in this video to solve problems.